All right, how's that for waking everybody up? I know people are awake already, but maybe it's for me. Ha ha ha. I just turned on the live stream. You guys, this live stream isn't like an official over live stream. It's really just me getting used to live streaming and, being like put on the spot with things with tech. So it's really a behind the scenes from my point of view. That's all. So you don't really have to watch it because I'm just really like, it's just me, a talking head. However, I want to welcome a very special co-host, and he's going to be co-hosting with me the weekly Over the Reality Spaces. And he might need an introduction, but maybe he can introduce himself. But I'm really happy to have Brover, or a.k.a. Decentral Chad, with me. If you don't know, he is one of well, actually, now he is the number one power mapper of Over the Reality. And if you don't know what that is, just hang out, sit tight. And for those of you listening or watching in the future, this is going to really, really interest you. So if you look at I'll send links when I send links. If you go to the Over the Reality site into the 3D mapping, there is a leaderboard on how many people have mapped and who are the number one mappers. So if you look for 2024, Brover is actually the number one power mapper. And in second place, coincidentally, is his real life partner Strawberry, who is also in this space with us. And I'm just over the moon that these two are taking the top two places. And the reason why is because I've gotten to know them, and I really love the way they have been displaying or showing Over the Reality's D-Pin, which is Map to Earn, which is they are going around Europe mapping and earning as they go along. And if they are not the poster couple for Over's D-Pin, I don't know who it could be. So I'd love to welcome officially Brover as the co-host of these Over Weekly Community Spaces. And Happy New Year, Brover.
Hey, what's up, Carmen? Happy New Year. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just so glad that I have somebody here now with me that we can bounce stuff off. But I'm more happy because, like, you literally are the go-to person for, to me anyway, everything 3D mapping because of all the things you have achieved and how well you've really gotten to intimately know the app and everything. So I feel that you coming on as a co-host is a really valuable resource for the community because you really get to share what it's like from the beginnings and everything like that. So I'm really happy today. How about you guys?
I'm happy to help because we started Toby and I. We started like in end of April, beginning of May, and as of today, we're still learning stuff, and there's a lot to learn, and a lot of mappers out there. They are still asking questions and they discover things, and we are very happy to learn about those little tips and tricks that you can learn along the way that might increase your gains in OVR, how to make things easier, and how to have fun also. Over.
No, that's right. And what's more interesting is so it's 2025. This is the first like literally Over community space. And I just realized last week, I don't know if you did, but I was looking through the Over communication and emails, and I realized that Over the Reality had reopened the I'm doing air quotes, the content creator role for Over. And if you don't know, people who are listening, the content creator role is on this Web3 job site. And when you first glance at it, you see the title content creator and you're like, hey, I could do that. But when you look at the actual tasks and roles and responsibilities, it is what it is, and then and it kind of is vague, especially if you know what the role really is for. So here we are. Over has reopened the content creator for 3D mapping. And to me, it's always been such a sore spot because I'm just gonna say it, the position is quite deceiving. it says content creator, even though in the roles and responsibilities, they require people to map 350 maps per month and they can earn a bonus and stuff like that. Well, people don't really get that when they apply. There's a lot of people who want remote Web3 jobs. And once they see content creator, they'll just apply. And then you have to take the time to interface with them and to speak with them. And then you cannot imagine the frustration and the disappointment in their faces when they realize, oh, you mean this is not a salary job? You mean I really have to get out and use my phone and walk around in the elements and map? This is not what I signed up for. And it's always been frustrating for me to be like the face of, like to catch that type of frustration. And Brover, earlier on, somebody came on and like video recorded the whole what's it called, onboarding, Google Meet onboarding that I was in, and they were going to use it to say that Over the Reality was a scam and it was a pyramid scheme and a multi whatever, and that was back. I remember that day. It was August 1st, and it was just incredible. But that's why I really, the community anyway, and I hope the team really appreciate what all the mappers are doing, because they're really showing and proving that no, this is deep in, this map to earn is legit, and you really can earn over tokens with it. So yeah, thank you Over the Reality for reopening this content creator position, and it's just going to create a whole bunch of snafu. So Brover, because they've done that, I think, I know we talked about it behind the scenes. I think it's a really great a time in this space to really outline this content creator position. What is 3D mapping, the expectations, going through the basics, and really yours and Strawberry's opinions and experiences. So I'd really hope to do that. Before we start, let's talk about Over's Deepin. And Brover, I'd love for you to take this on. Can you explain what Over's Deepin is?
So I will explain it through my point of view. For a mapper, for example, like regarding this content creator system, of course, it's something that you can do from far away, from anywhere in the world. But it's not something that you're gonna do sitting on your couch, on your phone, or a computer. So basically, for a mapper's point of view, there is money on the ground, and there is a tracker for every dollar or every 90 cents on it via the app. It's a Deepin project, so is a structure that will make a 3D layer on top of the real world. And what Over is allowing us to do is to create 3D mapping, taking pictures with the phone. So it will be sent through an AI to generate a 3D copy of the world that we live in. I don't know if I have to explain it more than that. Over.
No, I really like that. I like that that you simplified it for like anyone who has never heard of it, and I really like that. So tell me this: how did you find out about? I know people might have heard it, but I see some new people here in the space, and this is a whole new year, and I'd really love to like kind of like start from the beginning. How did you find out about Over the Reality, and specifically this whole 3D mapping thing, and what were your first thoughts about it, and why did you even get involved?
Well, the thing is, I'm into DeFi, so decentralized finance. I check a lot of new projects. That's basically, yeah, my it was my side, it still is. It's all about interacting with new protocols using layer 3. A lot of people might be familiar with it. It's just interacting, see how the project is, and you might get rewarded for interacting. And Over was one of them. On layer 3, you can find a lot of Deepin projects. A lot of them are nodes, are just extensions that you can put in a computer to create a decentralized network. You must have heard about Helium, which is projects, for example, to get communication of Internet of Things. You buy some stuff to put in your home to connect to other devices, and I checked all of them. And over the reality, it is actually a system where you don't need material except your phone. You just need your phone. I mean, if you have a better phone, it's better. And I wanted a system where I could earn crypto um, as much as I invest time in it. And I discovered it via an ad on a decentralized mailing system. And after checking out, I gave it a try. No, you just go outside, you see what's outside, you just check the map of the reality, and you check where you can map. So I just took my phone, went outside, not far from my home, and tried it. Uploaded my maps. 2-3 days later, crypto was in my account, and then the adventure started. Me and Strawberry Cake, we went on a little trip, and we just wanted to see if we were just able to get the money back from a vacation, like a 2-3 weeks trip in the country we live in. And even though we spend a lot of money on restaurants, hotels, visits, well, we made all the money back. All the money back, we made it. So then we realized when we discovered something amazing. You can just check the map of the reality, see where are the spots where it needs to be mapped, and you just go there. You can even take a hotel room and just do that for like, sometimes we spend 2 hours, sometimes 3, sometimes a little bit more. It's really, really profitable, and we have a limited amount of time, and the pay is really good, really good. Over.
Oh wow, that's great. So how did you get Strawberry involved? Because I know in the beginning, she was like, well, I don't know about this, but now she's like the number two power mapper. Was it hard? What were the challenges of getting someone who wasn't really into what you were into to try it and then continue with you?
Well, of course, the pay is a big plus, but the thing is, we realize that the places that we need to map are places that are enjoyable to visit. Right? It's not some places that have nothing to see. It's sometimes very famous places. Sometimes it's even hidden gems. We realize that we found places that we would never have discovered if we didn't have over the reality. So the thing is, we love to travel, but yeah, it costs money, and every time you travel, you don't make money, or you're not at work. But there, you have the perfect combination of work and travel. So yeah, like we've been in this foreign country for a few years, and we didn't travel that much because we knew we had to spend money for it. It's better to stay at home, and it's addictive to be a couch potato. And and after discovering over the reality, we discovered the entire country and the country next to us. And yeah, it's the perfect combination, I would say. Over.
Oh my God, that's really great. The reason why I'm saying it is because I know that Over has updated the 3D mapping feature a number of times, and I think the first time they launched it was last year. And I know I kind of tried it, like I think it was a year and a half. I don't even know, but I did map a couple of places here where I live. It was all right. I saw it on the Over the Reality site, and then that was it. And then when Over had updated the app, I had not done that. I had not tried it. So obviously there's a lot more features and everything, but I really can't get into it. I know, right? Like I'm part of the team, but am I though? No, I'm
If you want,
huh?
if you want, every time there's a new update, we could get into detail of what's improving and what's really interesting for mappers. Because a lot of times update happened and mappers didn't know about it. Because what I would like is to see a log of all the updates are done, because a lot of times when you do the updates, you see in the Play Store a lot of UI improvements, but we kind of have to discover it by ourselves, or maybe I didn't find the place where we need to see. But definitely, on a weekly basis, if there is an update, we should get into the detail of that. Oh.
Oh, that's amazing an idea. I think I would love to do that, especially from the beginning. You know what, Brover, we see people here in the room. We see LM Designs. There's Altered. There's Hex. There's Pedro, the cruel. Are you? You're not cruel, Pedro. Who else is here? Who else is here? There is Julian. There's Muhammad. There is Talatu and Heki. And I know that LM Design, she had been 3D mapping. And it's interesting. She actually 3D mapped, hexadized in Miami for Zauchella while he was performing. How do you like that? She didn't just 3D scan him. She actually like put him on the like over the reality map. Like I think that's hilarious. And I think that's brilliant. We can definitely talk about that. And I know Altered Alley has been doing a lot of 3D mapping with over the reality. For some reason, he loves alleys. He loves all these like weird, alleys where people can get murdered and raped. So I'm just kidding, but he'll go out where he lives and he'll go and find these really interesting like alleys. He'll map them and then he'll incorporate them in some of these like amazing spatial spaces. We'll get into that. Like I'd love to get into that later, maybe in other weekly spaces on all the like the type of creative things. But so Brover, can you share like the basics? Like, okay, here's the thing. I'm so glad you're here. If you were addressing a group of content creators who applied for the content creator job, only to find out, no, you need your phone, you need to download the app and go outside on 3D map. What would be the three key things you would want to tell them to like get them to just like not leave and to really try it out? I know I might be putting you in a spot. I don't mean to, but let's have this chat about what would be the top three things you could kind of like convince these content creators to actually take on the role.
Well, the first thing I would tell them is just check the map. Just check the map. If you are in Nigeria, for example, there's not much to map, and I checked like the average salary is like $700. I would say check the map if your country has what you need to create content and for it to become profitable. For example, if you are in India, for example, there are some interesting places. For example, I just checked right now. If you are not far from the Taj Mahal, you have a good opportunity for a few days of mapping. But you have, it is a very important point, you have to be willing to go out and visit places. You're going to have your phone in your hand most of the time and scan the spots outside. It's not something you're doing from a place where you just have your computer and internet connection. You have to go out, and you need it's way better to have a good phone. I discovered it the hard way. You need a very good phone to take good pictures. It's gonna do burst pictures. So it's not something that you just do at home. You will have to trust sometimes you will have to travel. Sometimes you will have to take a plane. A lot of people, what they are doing it a couple. They are both going to a certain location, taking a hotel room, which together, because it reduces the cost to stay there. But of course, something that a lot of them don't know is that you can earn money with overreality without doing the content creator program. You can just install the app and start mapping. You don't have to apply. It's free for all. Oh.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that you can just start mapping and you don't have to apply. Because I also love that you brought up the whole the India, like countries like that. Well, I don't know, I haven't really done a deep dive, but a lot of these countries where they have these famous cities, there's not a lot of land that has been bought. And so, if you don't know, people that are listening, the number one priority really is to map lands that are already owned slash bought. You can buy land and then map it yourself. That's fantastic, but you really need to be in a city where a lot of lands are bought, and then you map them. There's also that Open Street Map. If you go to Open Street Map, there are like locations that are deemed like tourist spots or historical places where you can also map, and that'll also garner you rewards. But there are also countries where there are really huge cities that don't have a lot of mapping, other than like places like the Taj Mahal and stuff. But you're right, Brover. Once people are in those famous big cities and they've already mapped these like tourist locations, and then what? And then what? So I'm really glad that you brought up. You don't have to join the you don't have to join the content creator the a role. It you I mean, anybody, if you map more than 350 maps per month or 350 maps per month, you will get, I guess, then you have to join the content creator role in order to get the 250 bonus. That's the thing. But if you know that you're in a city that has limited locations for mapping, and if you know that you are not really willing to travel outside of your city, or you can travel outside of your city to maybe make the 350 approved maps per month, so that you can get that extra 215 US dollars over tokens bonus. If you know you're not going to meet that, then don't disappoint yourself. Don't like set your expectations where you can meet them, and just start mapping. Just start mapping. I'm really glad you brought that up, Rover. I'm really, really glad. Here's the thing. How easy is it to map? I should bring LM Designs. We should bring up LM Designs as well, as somebody who's like a relatively new mapper. But let's talk to you first, Brover. When you first started, how easy was it?
Well, well, the thing is, it's like a new video game with a high ceiling of skill. So the thing is, of course, the first map or two that you're gonna try, it's a little bit confusing when you see all those AR things on the ground and things appearing where it tells you where to point your phone at. And so, yeah, you might have a few maps refused in the beginning because you didn't do what the reality team wants you to do. And yeah, it's a little bit confusing in the beginning, but with experience, it goes really fast. And of course, it's great to see some tutorials. I mean, you can check the channel, of course, to see what you could do to improve your maps. I see mappers doing thousands of maps, and sometimes I see them not realizing they could improve it to increase the probability that it's going to be accepted. Um, because there are so many things that you can do with the app. But yeah, I mean, just try. I would recommend doing the tutorial. It's really short. It's not difficult to do, and there's a lot of things you can learn along the way, and it's fun to do. It's really fun. It's like a video game that you do in real life outside. So I would say do some maps, how's the results, and let's try again. And after that, yeah, the skill improves, and you keep getting better at it. Yeah, over.
Oh, wow, that's great. Now, I know, do you have any? I think it's sort of like a dance. Like, what do you do? I know, okay, so for those of you who don't know, who are listening, or you are new to this 3D mapping, overlands, or the locations that you are mapped, they're actually hexagonal in shape. So you will be seeing a hexagon or various hexagons, but there'll be you will be mapping like one hexagon at a time, and they're roughly around 300 square meters. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. So with these hexagons, I feel like, Brover, do you start from the middle? Is there like a technique to get the best coverage? Do you start from the middle and start to go out? Do you go in and out, make a star shape? Like, what can you share, if you would like, some of your best like dance practices? Do you know what I mean? On how you move around the overlands?
Well, I would say the experience will make it all because. I mean, I will summarize a few points that you have to, yeah, you take in consideration that you didn't take in the beginning. For example, the amount of people that's around you, the structures that are around you, where can you walk, where can't you walk? But to respond to your question, I would say I look at my map where I am in the hexagon, and I would say I would be at 1/3 of the center, right? I divide it, I would say I make a mental image. When I divide it in three, I would say I am 1/3 in the hexagon. And when you start your mapping, the first phase, you have a pyramid that will appear in front of you, 4 meters, exactly 4 meters in front of you. So the pyramid is going to be in the center of the big hexagons. And so if I turn around, I know that the pyramid will be exactly in the middle. I would say, I don't know if you know, this structure is like an inverted Fibonacci, where you do a spiral but inverted. You start from the centrum and then you go wider and wider and wider. So you know that you covered the whole hexagon. But there are so many things you have to take in consideration. Just for example, something that I learned really recently is that, of course, you're going to start, if you're doing a place that's very crowded, you're going to go early in the morning, so there's very few people. But if you start in the beginning of the day, you're going to have the sunlight exactly at the horizon, and your map is going to be infused if you have the sun in your face, because you can't, the rays of light are going to be very annoying, and it's gonna mess up your map. Because when the camera, or when you do a jump into the map to see how the 3D looks like, you're gonna have a whole shade of white covering an entire area. This, and for example, when people are passing around, you want to avoid people, but you need to point your camera in all directions. You must not avoid people, because the app, the AI is really well made. It's going to delete people. So you must not be afraid to point your camera. And if people, and you have to have this experience of knowing how to act when people are worried that you might take pictures of them, and you need the confidence also that you have to acquire time after time. These are all just a few points that you need to take in consideration, and there are a lot of others that I don't think about right now. Oh,
Wow, those are really great points. Now, I know you mentioned there's a pyramid, and I have seen that green pyramid. When you open the app and you find an overland, a hexagon that you want to map, does the pyramid automatically just show up right in the middle, or do you have to place it in the middle?
well, the thing is, you place it in the middle. The thing is that it's gonna it first, the app has to detect the ground, so you have to move your phone around, so it will be able to know in what environment you are in. But then it will pop a pyramid, and you are the one who can move it around to pin it at some specific points if you want to adjust it. But by default, it will be put at 4 meters in front of, which is the ideal distance for me. It is the ideal. If you always stay at 4 meters, you will have the highest amount of hexagons that are going to be filled. It's going to tell you pointed your phone in the right direction, even before you start refining your 3D mapping. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I'm really imagining it now because I have, of course, obviously, I have the app, and I have kind of like played around with maybe I'll map today, maybe I'll map it. Nah, so I have seen that green pyramid. I have a question for you. I know you brought up like just go ahead and map, pick a location, and you brought up some really an interesting thing, which is a reality where there's going to be structures in your hexagon, and there's going to be people. I want to talk about people. How have I know we've discussed this before. Hickey, oh, sorry about my dog. I know we've discussed this before, but I know there's a lot of people who are new to this. How have you handled like because you're pointing the camera at a hexagon on the ground, and when people see you, it's kind of like they think like, what are you doing? Like, why are you filming me? How do you handle that?
Well, the thing is, not that many people would ask. It's most of the fear. It's in your head. A lot of people will stare at you, but if it's all in the attitude. If you act confidently, people will automatically think that you are busy doing something important. It like, for example, I remember I was at a museum and I was doing the 3D mapping in front of it, and at some point, I went straight to a guard and asked if I could go in their garden and map there. And at another day, I acted completely differently. I didn't ask questions, and that way, the fact that I didn't ask questions, that I didn't go directly to them, they were fearful that I might be breaching some security. So it's all about two different way of acting. For example, I have some rules that will avoid having being in difficult situations. For example, not mapping next to people eating outside in front of a restaurant, or not being next to kids. Because people are very fearful that you might be doing something weird. But in most situations, I would say, if you're really fearful, or if you're really scared that someone's going to ask you questions, just prepare a speech that is not going too much into details, but puts the accent on the fact that people are being automatically deleted, and the AI is doing the job really well. If you want, you can also just download a map video where it's supposed to be a lot of people, and you can show there's never no one in that spot, and you can show it. Yeah, look, there's nobody, and I can tell you there was a lot of people there. Everyone got deleted, and there's no one to be seen. Over.
Wow, that thank you for that. You know what? Earlier you mentioned like it's really like you really have to when you're really taking this mapping thing seriously. I know you are because you are the number one power mapper in 2024. But the things that you've mentioned about, what time of day are you gonna map? The location where you're gonna map. Where is the sun in terms of like, is the sun when you're mapping, will you capture the sun's rays in your camera, and then it won't really show a really good 3D mapping result? Like all these things are taken into account, that you have learned to take into account, that some beginner mappers won't. They'll just download the app, they'll go through the 3D mapping tutorial, they'll see a hexagon, maybe they'll know to put the pyramid in the middle, I guess it says in the tutorial, and then they'll start mapping, only to find out their maps are not approved. That's another important thing, you guys. If you're thinking of mapping something, you really have to what's it called? Make sure you capture really good results, like photo results, or else your maps may not be approved, and you might be waiting for them to show up on the Over the Reality website, and you're wondering, well, why not? I think it said, does it say that your maps aren't approved, Brover?
Yeah, it says clearly not approved in red. If you go in your My Maps list, it will be shown on the top left, not approved. And of course, the fact that you didn't go in all directions is not the only reason why it might not be approved. For example, if you are in a tight spot, like an alley, for example, and you forgot to change the camera path. There's a video that is being generated to do a preview of what the map looks like. If you don't modify it, there's a high probability that your map is going to be refused because your camera are going through walls, and for a certain amount of times, the cameras don't see anything, which is really annoying. So, and I see a lot of new maps because, of course, right now there are a lot of newcomers coming from Asia, for example, and I don't see the camera pass being modified. I didn't do it for a long time, and it was a big mistake not going very far into all the possibilities of the app. But it's something that will not cost you more time. Except if you want to do something really fancy, when you really want to adjust to make a very artistic camera path. But just putting the way the cameras are going to turn in the map, making it to the minimum, so it just turns on itself, and there it's almost guaranteed that the map is going to be accepted because the cameras don't pass into the wall.
Oh, wow. Every time I hear you talk about 3D mapping and all the intricacies involved or can be involved, the geek in me gets really excited, and I want to start 3D mapping because of all the things to look out for and well, I always say this, but I have not yet mapped. Anyway, I think that's fantastic. And I know that when you were interviewed, you and Strawberry were interviewed in terms of how you got into 3D mapping and stuff like that. And I know what Strawberry and you had mentioned was before you guys actually plan your whole mapping journey. Like you guys sit down and you decide, okay, where are we going to go tomorrow or this week or next month? And then you guys like go to the over the reality map, and you literally map out where all the high reward maps are, like strategically. It's almost like you're playing whatever risk or something. Like it's crazy. Can you explain that?
Yeah, of course. So, the last one was the one where I did the most research because if you're traveling, you're having expenses, so you need to be organized. You can't just wing it and go to the places where you just see a number on the map and you go there. You have to use Google Street. You have to open a tab of Google Street on the side. You have to do some research to know if there is some kind of event that will stop you from mapping. And we have to make a list of all the places we want to go. And even when we are at the spot, it's really difficult because you cannot, like in a game where you invite a friend and then you are both working in a group and the app knows that. Like, when you, for example, if we are next to each other and we don't tell each other, I'm doing this spot, you're doing that one, we might be doing 2 times the same job and being paid once. So we have to be really organized when we are on the spot. So we just have to, for example, our best technique right now is doing a screenshot of the area we are in and taking our little stylus and just put in different colors which one each of us does. And of course, for the entire trip, we have to be really organized. Yes, and taking in consideration how much it's gonna cost. Also for the hotels, that check if they have good Wi-Fi or not, because maps are big. Sometimes when you're doing 100 maps per day per person, it's going to be something like around 30 gigabytes. It's a lot to upload, and some hotels don't have the capacity to allow you to upload that much. Or yeah, where are you going to put your car? How much? Yeah, it has so many possibilities. I don't think about everything right now, but yes, there is so much to think about, and sometimes we have to improvise to make things work, because yeah, even though you are going to map, you have the expenses behind, and you have to it has to be profitable. Over.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I love logistics. So I see this huge, I see this logistical like documents, documents of logistics. But then I also know there's a mathematical aspect where you have to calculate your ROI. Like if we're gonna go here and we're gonna get these maps and these are the rewards, but then we're gonna have, here's our travel expense, here's our hotel, here's our food. That's a whole mathematical like, and I don't know, me and math aren't really friends, but the amount of stuff involved is like amazing. So for those of you who are listening and are listening in the future, and you know what, for people here in the space, I see K-Bot, you just joined, thank you so much, K-Bot. Swavery, so good to see you here. There's Stitch, you guys, there's Baba who joined, there's 2%. Hey Tommy, I see you, Tommy. You know what? It would be really great for you to find a group of family or friends or a partner or a BFF or whatever and start 3D mapping and take the tips of Brover and Strawberry. And not only that, but listen to the recording. Sit your potential 3D power mapper partner, and you can have more than one. Sit down and have a listen at this space and share it so you guys really get to understand what this 3D mapping is. You know, you guys, we're lucky that Brover is here to share these tips. I know that Altered Alley, Hexadize, Joe, Swavery, they're power mappers as well. And I've been inviting people to speak up on the mic, but I think they're just doing, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just glad they're all here. They're power mappers as well. So they also have their own insights and experience, and they've developed their own like skills and, you know, like little intricate personal to them how they 3D map, and I know they'd be happy to share it. But I'm really happy that Brover, our co-host, is here to share his his experience and all the things he's learned. Because come on, you don't get to be the number one power mapper of 2024 just shy of creating 5,000 approved 3D maps all around Europe, and not know and not develop and learn all these tiny little things that you wouldn't know. And Brover's right. Every time there is an update, they usually, it's usually apparent with the UI, but sometimes there's, you don't know other like juicy secret updates in terms of the tech part. And I guess Brover and some of the people, they find it by happenstance, which he has been sharing, and I think that's great. My goodness, guys, it is already 12 minutes to the hour where we're going to end. This 3D mapping thing, I think, is really amazing. I got to pick up this dog. And not only that, Brover, I shared a whole bunch of stuff that Brover had put out. I could be sharing other people's things, but I don't really trust my big fat thumbs. You know, there's one thing, Brover, that you started to do. And I think you, I don't know if this is a new thing. I'm pretty sure other people may have discovered it. I don't know. But anyway, you shared what you had discovered in terms of being able to customize, I guess, the camera angle or the fly through. And to me, that opens up a whole other thing for 3D mapping and cinematography. I'm just saying. How did you discover that? Or did you just always know it?
Well, the thing is, I really like it. I really love it because it puts a lot of fun into something that is repetitive. I mean, 5,000 maps, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know how we reach that point, but changing the camera angle is, it doesn't change anything in the way you are getting paid. But I really hope that the future updates are gonna change this because I don't know if you remember we had an interview with the CEO Diego Didi, and he said that we would have bounties. Bounties, it means that specific landowners uh, will put a higher price on the mappings that are going to be done. And I really hope that someday there's going to be an update where actually a host is asking us to change the camera path to put more value to the map. For example, we were at the Eiffel Tower to map at the bottom of it. And what is the point of doing a map where you just see, the street, and the mappers didn't point his camera up? Because if you point your camera up or down or in specific directions, other than just the horizon, what's in front of you, it's gonna take it in consideration. For example, if you are I was in the cathedral in Granada, and I pointed my camera up, and after I seen the map, I did a 3D jump in, and everything was clear. But if you don't, if you're just there to get your OVR, it's just going to be black. So the thing is, some landowners consider that what's making the value of the land is what might not be just horizontally in front of you. So what I'm hoping is that some landowner is going to be like, hey, can you make a camera pass that will show that we can see the Eiffel Tower from here, or can we see the ceiling, or can we see something specific in the map that will increase the value of the map? Because a lot of landowners, that's what they're seeking, is because of the location, there is some value because something is visible on that land. Over.
You know what? That's a great thing to bring up, like in terms of changing the way you're mapping and point the camera like up, especially if you are mapping a hexagon or an overland that actually has an object of importance. Because I know when I did my mapping, I was so focused on just covering the hexagon. And mind you, like there's no points of interest where I live. It's just whatever, right? So I was really more focused on covering the hexagon. However, if there was an object that was part of that would have been a point of interest, then I don't know if I would have even thought of capturing it, because I still probably, that's me though. I'm a beginner mindset, a 3D mapper beginner mindset of just focused on getting all the hexagons in green in map. But that's a really good thing you brought up. So when you're mapping an area that has objects like a monument, a fountain, or whatever, an obelisk in the middle of it or part of it, you can actually like move your camera to incorporate that object in your mapping.
Yes. So actually, I think that you are in a way telling a story, because you can ask the cameras to focus on one point or one direction, one angle for a few seconds instead of just running in circles. That's the main thing about it. You want to make people dream when after you done your mapping, after you done your pictures, you just want to tell, hey, this is the best part about this land. I'm trying to say something when I'm modifying the cameras. So what it does, it's going to respect a certain path. You have 4 points to use, and the cameras are going to go through each point and going in whichever direction you want. And by doing that, you can mix them up. And there is one of my posts. It was POV You're a Fly. I saw a statue of a mammoth, and I wanted to see how precise this camera path. And it is very precise because I managed to make the camera path just go between the legs of the mammoth in a perfect way, and it was respecting perfectly what I had in mind. Over.
Wow. Yes, I pinned that mammoth up on the nest, you guys, if you want to see. I thought that was like amazing. I know there are people here that have mapped. I know I remember Joe before Over's app used the Gaussian splatting. They did the neuro radiance field technology, and I know that Joe down there, Soyo Crypto, have done a lot of nerfing where he lived in the Pacific Northwest area. And I can't remember if he had moved his camera path. I'm not sure, or if that's the default of the camera, but it really turned out really well. But I think now, Brover, what I've seen is, you know what? I love that you brought up the whole storytelling. Like this adds a whole other layer to mapping. Like this is where you can tell you're not a beginner mapper. You are like you're not even an expertise anymore. You're actually a creator. You are actually, do you know what I mean? Like you're not a mapper. Do you know what I mean? You're creative. You are now a producer, a director. You've really surpassed the technological aspects in a way of 3D mapping, and it's almost like the technological aspects that you have learned from 3D mapping. It's become a lower brainstem function, and now that part of your brain, the imagination, creative part now kicks in, and now you're able to use the technology, and the 3D mapping has a tool or a canvas to create whatever you imagine. So I really love that you mentioned like that you're creating a story. Like who does that? That's fantastic.
Thank you. I kind of have the imposter syndrome, so I'm really glad and really thankful for the recognition.
No, I mean, like we have creators in this space. There's LM Designs. She's got her stuff featured in Bit Basil. Art Altered Alley. Joe Soyo has got his stuff featured at Bit Basil during Miami Art Week. Took place in Art Basel in Miami just early in December. K-Bot is a creative. Hexadize was here. There's a lot of creatives here, and I guess you've never. I don't know you, but I've only known you as a 3D power or a 3D mapper, now a 3D mapper. But I see that there is more to you than maybe you know yourself, or maybe you've always known you have this creative aspect and it's just coming out. But I know that LM Designs, Alter Joe, Swavery, K-Bot, they're loving what I'm pretty sure they're loving what you're saying, because now it's giving them ideas, or it's validating what they have come to know the 3D app to be. But yeah, Brover, flowers to you for the whole storytelling aspect, because that's exactly what we're doing. That's what Over's doing. Over's deep in decentralized physical infrastructure network. Not only are they solidifying the spatial, what is it? Geospatial locations of the world, building out the Web3 infrastructure, but the mappers are actually the curators of what's going to be, of how this Web3 infrastructure is going to look like. So if you're just a 3D mapper to get rewards, that's one thing, that's great, but then there's a whole other level of, wow, I better just shut up, because I could just go on. I'm actually blown away by this. I'm really blown away. And I like to welcome one woman here, one of the artists in spatial, and she actually has an art gallery on Over the Reality. I believe is it in Dubai? I believe Lofi had helped her create that. You guys, there's so many things with the Over platform. It's just insane. Um, so it's already 1 minute to the hour. Brover, I want to really recognize everybody's. I know some people are still on holidays. I really want us to keep this to an hour. Thank you so much for co-hosting and for agreeing to be co-host. Um, uh, in 2025, I really feel that we can all learn from you. No,
You're
thank you.
welcome. I like doing it.
And you're very good. Like you're very good. I love your voice. It's very it's confident. We can understand you. You're able. I better shut up. You you. I don't know. You explain the really detailed tech aspects very very well, and you can even simplify it for people who are new, and it's easy for people to understand why they should get into 3D mapping. I'm really looking forward to next week and on, and I know that you have mentioned maybe we can be bringing on other guests involved with just spatial computing in general, not just 3D mapping. I thought that's a really great idea. I've always wanted to do that last year, but my lazy ass didn't. But I love that now as a co-host, you're going to bring in ideas and stuff like that to make these over weekly community spaces even more valuable for the community and other people. Is there any last things you want to say before we close out the space, Brover?
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be a co-host. I hope we're gonna do that way more often. Yeah, really glad to be here. Thank you, Carmen, for giving me this opportunity. And
Oh,
Happy New Year again.
no, thank you and happy new year. You guys, LM Designs, K-Bot, Altered Alley, One Woman. I know you just came in. I really appreciated that you joined. Joe, Swavery, Pedro, Strawberry, Tommy. I always think that you're the founder of MySpace and you just joining our space. I just love that. Julian, Tara Quill. It's so good. And the other one other listener. I'm really glad you stayed and listened. And for those of you, I know Hexadized was here, and I know he's busy. He's out doing stuff. He's probably 3D mapping, doing his own storytelling and stuff like that. I bet that's exactly what he's doing. But I really appreciate everybody joining. We appreciate it. On behalf of the Over community, we would love to wish everyone a happy new year. And stay tuned for next week when Brover and I are going to be co-hosting the second Over Weekly Community Space. And if you have any questions, 3D mapping questions or anything, go to Brover and Strawberry. You can also go to Altered Alley, Swavery, and Joe. They've been 3D and LM Designs. So yeah, we're gonna close this space. I have this song here. It's by Daft Punk, Around the World, and I thought this was appropriate because we were going to be mapping around the world. So everybody, thank you so much, Brover and I. Brover, you're a wonderful co-host. Looking forward to co-hosting with you next week. And yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your
Thank you.
Thursday. All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.